Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Leadership Across Borders. I'm Jesse McCullough, and I am joined, as always, with my wonderful co-host here, Jaclyn Katelnikoff. Jaclyn, how are you doing? Actually, I know how you're doing. Today's a special day.
Today's a special day. I'm doing great today, Jess. It's a beautiful, sunny summer day in Saskatchewan. And if you can say that five times fast,
I
then
I cannot. That's not my giftedness here. But it's good to reconnect. We had such a wonderful time doing this last time that we thought maybe we should do it again. And so here we are doing this again. And the idea that we want to share with you today is around a concept called the seven levels of awareness. Now, Jaclyn, have you ever looked at the seven levels of awareness prior to the prep that we were doing for this call?
you know what? I have in one of your classes. So I
Oh,
am
that's right.
slightly aware of it. I did have a little bit of learning with you. However, it left my mind. And then, like I just asked you this morning, why are there 50 million versions of the seven levels of awareness? And
I think there's something out there. I think people like the number seven, and you can find a lot of lists of seven just on anything, any given topic out there. But yeah, this is a framework that I was introduced to a number of years ago, and I have found such value in this. It gives such perspective. And that perspective, at least for me, and Jaclyn, maybe you might be able to comment on this because you've looked at it a little bit before. Is whenever you have this and you're equipped with this, it's at least given me a resilience and a perspective to allow me to navigate a lot of the situations that you go through in life, and especially in the pharmacy, with a little more patience, with a little more grace for people. And maybe that's just my experience. I don't know if you have a comment for that.
yeah, I feel like it also gives us a place to reflect on ourselves and just
Mhm.
say, hey, where are you coming from today? And
Yeah,
it might be different tomorrow, but these levels of awareness just say, hey, am I in a good place today? Or am I just struggling?
that
And it can change from day to day. So if we look at it for ourselves, it gives us an inward looking glass.
that is such a good observation, it's even beyond day to day. It can be moment to moment, right?
Yeah.
So, for those of you that are joining us on this, if you haven't gone through this before, welcome. We are so glad you're here. We trust you're going to take some good value with this today. We would encourage you to take a note or two because you may want to refer back to this if you find if you're anything like Jaclyn or myself and you find value with this, you're going to want to make sure that you have this. But the seven levels of awareness starts off, and it's a framework. You may find a framework that you like better, and that's fine. I would encourage you to seek out frameworks like this so that you can. It just helps make sense of things. But we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to move to the top. And the first level, the lowest level of awareness that people can have, is the level of animal awareness. And the easiest way to describe this is, you're essentially you're behaving like an animal, right? It's very much a fight or flight type thing. I guess fight, flight, or freeze. I've seen
Yep.
that's a more common or that's growing in commonness out there. But people who are absolutely in survival mode, and that's a place where a lot of people find themselves. That's a place where a lot of pharmacists find themselves. That's a place where a lot of technicians find themselves. And truth be told, there's a lot of patients that present to the pharmacy that find themselves in
Yeah.
that level. Jaclyn, you have any examples that come to mind when we think of these of this
Yeah,
animal level of awareness?
this level's tricky because even if you're not here, you can be sent here with one quick comment. So you can be triggered and sent into animal mode, which is
Mhm.
dangerous. It's very important to be aware of the animal mode level. I'm drinking from a hockey mug this morning, and at the most basic level of animal mode, I have watched a young child of mine get punched in the head from behind And where does that send you? Like his reaction was not to say, "Oh, thanks," and
Uh-huh.
walk away.
Well,
His reaction was to turn around and fight back because that's where you're at. You're in this wild jungle.
yeah, well, where does that send you as the mother, right? You see your kid
But
get hit
yeah,
and like,
exactly. I actually was like, you probably that's
well,
probably what deserved to happen at that.
yeah,
You get hit
sometimes when you know the
in the
kids as
head,
we
you're
know them,
like,
it's like, they probably had that one coming, right?
yeah, that one can handle it. Yeah, but that can happen in the pharmacy. It can be a off the cuff comment from a patient that's either extremely rude or just definitely not what you were expecting, and it can just send you into just a complete panic and fight or flight.
Mhm.
Like, well, why wasn't this ready? I sent it in last night, and well, sir, we were closed. We just
Mhm.
opened this morning. There was no one here.
Mhm.
So those like snap comments, they can send you there even if you started your day higher up in the levels.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was it was in my early days. Um, the store was in Mercer, Pennsylvania, and I showed up one Sunday morning, and there was a woman standing outside the pharmacy waiting for me, and uh, so I'm going to get into the pharmacy, and I said, "Do you have a prescription that you need to drop off?" And she says, "Yes. I was in the ER all night with my son. They gave us these prescriptions. I just want to get these filled." So I took the information there, like in the doorway, and I said, "Okay, well, we're going to open up in 10 minutes, whatever." I don't remember that part of the story, but she said, "Okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'll be back in a couple of minutes." And I went in, got opened up, got all that stuff going. I fill in the prescriptions. Now, a more elderly woman comes in, and she drops off a prescription, and I start working on that. Well, the mother comes back to pick up her prescriptions for her son, and I remember taking care of that mother, and that elderly woman was mad at me. She's like, "Well, I should have been first."
Yep.
Right. And I said something there I probably shouldn't have said. Hindsight's being 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But I made I mean, this is how I'm starting a Sunday off this way, right? I remember it very clearly. It was a Sunday, right? I'm
First,
starting
a
Sunday off
lovely
this way,
Sunday
growling
morning.
at people, right? But it was very much it was an animalistic reaction because somebody poked the bear just the right way that
Yep.
that's where it was. And to your point earlier, you can get sent there.
Yep.
And I didn't have this framework then. If I would have
No.
had this framework then, I probably would have had at least I hope I would have had a different reaction to it. I know that I have a different
Yes.
reaction to it now because it was very much an animalistic comment that was pushed for me. It was like, oh, I should have
Yep.
been first, right? Um, very selfish in nature. So let's go up to level of awareness number two. Level of awareness number two is the level of the herd or the masses, right? This is where you look around and it's what's everybody else doing? What's everybody else doing? And Jaclyn, you practice pharmacy in Canada. I'm in the States. There is so much of pharmacy practice, at least over the 30 years that I've been in pharmacy, or just shy of 30 years, where you look, what's everybody else doing? Oh, this is what
Yep.
somebody else is doing. We need to do the same thing, right? There's so much of just we do it because everybody else is doing it. You look at your support staff. You even look at how you engage patients and how patients engage you.
Yep.
There's a lot of that happens.
Oh, definitely. So the follow the crowd, you see it in patients. Is if there's a giant lineup and the first person starts getting angry, well, what happens to the person
Mhm.
behind them, and then the person? It's everyone just starts doing what the other person is doing, um, and it usually sends us all down to the animal
It can.
behavior if we
It,
all start following the wrong person.
right.
So it's always important to also say which person do I want to follow
Hmm.
and take a clear look around the room before deciding who to follow as well. But even in COVID, it's like everyone during COVID got appointment booking software.
Hmm.
We also, oh, let's all do that because all the patients want to book online
Hmm.
because now we don't have time for people to come in. So we'll all get booking software. Well, maybe that's not the best thing for our elderly population, but that's what we all did,
Hmm.
right? So
Oh,
follow the masses.
yeah. And yeah, there is so much of that. And to our viewers and listeners to this, just recognize that there's huge portions of the population that live on these two levels, right?
Yes.
One of the
Yeah.
questions that I'll ask, I'll ask it now, but I hope we remember to ask this again before we're all said and done. As we go through these different levels, the real question is, where do you spend the most time? And the phrase that was given to me is where do you pay rent? You don't own any of these places. You're going to pay rent at wherever it is that you spend the time at. So the question is, where are you spending your time at? And I'm going to tell you, you will encounter a ton of people who are paying rent at the herd level and at the
Yeah.
animal level of awareness. And and so just by having that understanding, you already are taking steps to be better equipped to deal with that.
Yeah.
So, anything else to add on the herd level, Jaclyn?
The herd level's big. I'm sure we'll probably come back to it
Oh,
in the above levels for sure.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, the herd is such a big thing. Um, the third level of awareness this is actually, I would suggest, the most dangerous level. It's the level of aspiration. Right. This is when somebody is in the herd and they say, you know what? I'm tired of being in the herd. I think I want to aspire to be something better. Right. And it's dangerous because what you'll find is you're going to find people around you who support that. You're going to find that there's people who say, well, yeah, that'd be really good. And the example that I always use for this has to deal with New Year's resolutions, right? The new year's coming around, and you say, you know, this is my year. This is the year I'm going to get in shape. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do all this stuff. It's like this is going to be my year, right? Maybe that's been you. Maybe if it hasn't been you, you know somebody like this,
Yes.
right?
I
And you
actually
may
don't even set New Year's resolutions on purpose because I don't want to leave them in the dust. It seems like a waste of time for me,
Yeah,
Jess. So I
yeah.
don't even
Well,
bother setting them.
yep, yep. I can understand that. That's a whole nother pod. We'll do another podcast on that. We'll have to make sure we make note of that. But so when you're at this aspiration level, it's dangerous because you aspire to something more, and what you're going to find is you're going to find people will come around you and they'll support you, but they won't hold you accountable.
Right.
And that's why it's so dangerous. So you can say, "Hey, I want to do this, I want to do that," but when it comes down to it, you don't have people that'll go through that fire with you. And people can be stuck here. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I say that because I know I was stuck there for a time, right? And I'm sure there's
Right.
times where I get stuck in it now. Again, where do you pay rent? Um, but
And in this level, just we don't have any action. We have a dream or a
yes,
goal, but we're not doing anything to get us towards that.
what we're
Correct?
we're, we're talking about it,
Yep.
and we confuse that.
Right.
We
We think
confuse.
talking about it means we're getting somewhere.
Right, right. That's what makes it so dangerous. And you have people around you cheering you on. Oh, that's
Yep.
wonderful. That's great. Whatever. But the progress isn't happening. And so it's a dangerous level. Now, in the pharmacy world, there's probably a few people like that. I think there's probably more in the herd level that fluctuate back and forth. But every once in a while, you come across somebody. We were just talking about this before we hit record, is that we see people that show up for a little bit,
Hmm.
right?
There's a dream, there's a vision. This is what
There's a
I'm
dream.
going to
Hey,
do.
yeah, this
Even
is this is
just,
this is what I'm
we
going
were
to
talking
do.
about being on LinkedIn,
Yep,
posting, there's ideas, and then
yep, yep.
disappear.
Yeah, and then they show up for a couple of weeks and then
Yeah.
they're gone. And Jaclyn, that's part of what I think has brought you and I together, is that it's you show up. You show
Yes.
up. There's that consistency there. We'll get into that. We're probably getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but
We're
let's
still
move
in
up.
aspiration. No, we're
Yeah,
going
we're
up.
yeah, let's move up. So now you've had this aspiration, but you decide, hey, I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to go to level 4. And the fourth level of awareness is the level of individual expression. This is when you do what you said you were going to do. And I'm going to tell you, if level 3 is the most dangerous, I'm going to tell you level 4 is the most painful. Level
Yes.
4 is the most painful because as soon as you step out in individual expression, you are practically instantly met with failure, like this giant punch in the nose, right?
Yes.
Like that's what happens, is that when you step out. Now let's go back to my New Year's resolution example. This is the year I'm going to get in shape. Jess, you should get in shape. People look at me and say, Jess, you'd be a lot better off if you were in shape, right? It's you get that support. But now it's like, okay, I signed up for the gym. January 1 comes, I go to the gym. Everybody and their brother is at the gym. I work out as if I have never worked out before. I use every machine, I do all this stuff. Um, And what happens on January 2?
Just can't move.
I can't move. You're met with failure. Boom.
Yes.
And there's so many people that once they encounter that failure, they give up.
You
And they
may have
don't.
also just felt terribly judged the day before while you were
Oh,
at the gym, and that might have been a different form of failure for you mentally as well.
yeah, no, that's an excellent call out. But what happens is I can go from level 4 individual expression, have that failure, and find myself right back down at level 2.
Yep.
Or, if it's real severe, I may find myself at level 1, right? If I hurt that if I hurt that badly, I may growl at anybody that comes near me. I probably moan as I try to stand up and sit down and do all those different things, right?
Yes.
So that individual expression is such is such an important level, but again, it's going to be painful.
Yep.
And so it took some time to get on LinkedIn. And like I was on LinkedIn for years. It was basically I my wife was on Facebook, and my wife is much friendlier than what I am. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. She's pleasant and charming to everybody, and I'm me, right? And so she has hundreds and hundreds of friends on Facebook, and I have like 12, right? I don't have that many, but I'm introduced to LinkedIn. I was probably introduced to LinkedIn in 2007, 2008, many many years ago, and so it was just be like, oh, I'll make connections. I'll make connections. I will, if a reminder comes up that it's somebody's birthday, I'll send them a birthday. Oh, happy birthday, right?
Yep.
But whenever the idea comes that, well, maybe you should contribute to the community. Yeah, I should do that. I should do that. The aspiration. Now you actually contribute to the community.
Yep.
And what happens? You can be met with failure.
No one likes your posts.
No, yeah, no one comments.
Nothing.
Worse,
It's like talking to the echo chamber.
yeah, yeah, you're talking in an empty room, right?
I looked back at mine recently and I realized that the only person liking my first 50 posts was my father.
Yeah,
And then you just think, well, why did I keep going? Well, who knows why you kept going,
mhm,
right? But
right.
then all it takes is just that one little, well, your idea, someone liked what you said, and then
Hmm.
things just get a snowball. But you could easily quit in the
Oh,
first,
yeah,
however long it took. Yeah.
and I think that's what you see with a lot of folks, is that they
Yes.
they show up and they're present for a period of time, but it doesn't take the next steps. And it's some type of failure. You know, or
Yeah.
worse, you could actually post something and somebody, comments and says you're wrong,
Well, and
right?
that happens quite often. That idea is
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, maybe I need to relook at what I'm doing, but you might actually just take that and then sulk off into the corner and never make
Exactly.
another post again.
Right, right. So, now
Or
maybe
you
that
might say something rudely back in the animal because you might have got sent down to number
well,
one. You might say a comment that you shouldn't back. Is
exactly.
that
Yeah. So like that's where this framework I've found just to be so helpful, right? Because
yeah,
whenever these things happen, I now have a perspective that I can draw back on and say, this is a very like, and uh
before the words come out of your mouth, you say, "Where am I acting from?"
exactly. Or where is the other person acting from?
Yeah.
Right? I think that's understanding this is so helpful because it gives us a perspective on ourselves, but also on the people that we're engaging with.
Yeah.
So, let's think about this for one of our patients. You, you know, uh, maybe the patient is at the animal level, maybe they're at the herd level. They go to the doc. The doc says, "Hey, you know what? We're going to have to do something about your cholesterol, your diabetes, what fill in the blank. And well, let's try diet and exercise for another 6 months or a year or whatever. And eventually what happens is they're prescribed something.
Yep.
And how many patients do we know that the first time they take something, they struggle,
Or they
right?
don't take it all because they're mad that the doctor just told them they failed at their diet program.
Well, that's true too. But
And
like
they're just mad about it.
a patient that started on a blood pressure medicine and
Yep.
their body is going through that reset and now they're sleepy all the time and they're like
Exactly.
I don't like that, right? Or they have some type of um they have some type of response that is uncommon to them that they don't like. And so that's where individual expression can be such a challenge. And and that I think that informs some of the conversations that we have, especially in talking about medication adherence, right?
Yep.
It's like you need to help people understand that, hey, when you take this, the first couple of days, and I know I was not always very good at that. Um, I don't know that I'm very good at it today, for that matter. But the idea is, well, what should I expect when I take it? Oh, you'll be fine, right? Well, when
Yeah,
they
no,
take it,
and yeah.
and it's not exactly that. Well, what happens? So that's level 4, individual expression. There are a few people who can power through, and they will go through that hardship of individual expression, and they will get to the fifth level of awareness. And the fifth level of awareness is the level of discipline. This is when you continue to show up. This is when you say, "This is what I'm going to do today," and that's what you do today. So to go back to the New Year's example, on January 1st, there's a bunch of people in the gym. January 2nd, not as many. I just saw something recently that said the second Friday of the new year is considered national or is World Quit Day or whatever. Like that, most people give up their New Year's resolution by
And
the
what's the
second Friday.
percentage of people that make it past that? It's
Uh,
probably pretty slim.
oh, it's single digits, I think. But
Yep.
it's there are some, and this is a mindset. At least in my experience, this is a
Yes.
mindset. Is that it's that okay, I understand that this is going to be tough. I understand that I'm going to step out in individual expression. I'm going to meet some resistance, but I'm going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
And there's people that go to the gym and they go through the pain, they go through the discomfort, they go through the lack of results, right? You go to the gym, you can exercise like a fiend, and then like you don't look any different the next day. And you're like, well, what's the point of this? But if you keep showing up, if you have the discipline, you keep showing up, you keep doing those things. With time, those things start to build, those things start to compound, and that's such an important level for us to understand. So, like when we're dealing with our patients, we want to help them get to the level of discipline, right?
Yes.
That's that like
So
that.
they're taking their medication every day and they're doing the things that make them feel better every
Yeah,
day.
and they're getting the benefit, right? That
But it's not going to happen in the first 3 days. Like we said, you're not going to have miraculous. There is no magic bullet. The gym's not, it's going to
Mhm.
take time and
Yep.
work, and so are the medications.
Yeah, it takes time and repetition for so many of those chronic conditions. So, I would tell you if you were looking to pay rent, and then this is just where I'm at, maybe this is just where I'm at in life now, the minimum that you want to be aiming for is the level of discipline, right?
That makes perfect sense.
If
Yeah.
you are not if you're not looking to build and stretch and do whatever, then I think you're leaving meat on the bone or cash on the table or whatever the right expression is. I think there's opportunity that you're not leveraging if you're not striving to be at level 5 in that discipline space. What did I miss on discipline, Jaclyn? Do you have anything else you wanted to throw in?
Discipline's a real tough place of chronic practice and reevaluation, and then going back and trying to figure out which direct activities are focusing you.
Hmm.
It can be small things. Like I have a few goals right now. I'm painting my office because my office doesn't make me happy.
Mm.
If I'm going to work in it, then I need to be surrounded by things that make me feel joyful so I can work on what I want to be joyful. So that's a simple thing, but
Hmm.
it still requires discipline and change. And if you want to do the role, then you got to put in the work. So showing up every day, like you said, you can't disappear when things get hard, and it's easy to want to disappear.
Yeah. Oh.
I think that's the biggest trick. It's like you can get pulled down because it's so much easier to stop
Hmm.
than it is to keep going.
That is a brilliant observation because, in discipline, that's you're showing up even when you don't want to,
Yeah.
right? There's some part. I used to I used to be part of a group that did board reviews for new graduate pharmacists, and my I was given some time to talk about medication adherence, and at the time, the world was going through a change. We were moving from using the term compliance to the term adherence. So those of you who may be old like me may remember the days that we talked about medication compliance. Well, there's a huge difference between the word compliance and adherence. And the question that I always ask the new grads is, what is that difference? And the answer I would look for is attitude,
Mhm.
right? Adherence is something you do because you want to. Compliance is something you do because you have to,
Yep.
right? It's like
Exactly.
the end result is the same, but there's an attitude about it. And so there's part of the discipline, which is, what's your attitude about it? And
Yeah.
again, I think just having a framework like this becomes so empowering because it shows me where I need to be, and also just the strength of mind I need to have, because there are days that I don't feel like it. There are
Yes.
days that I am less than inspired, but it's okay. Continue to show up. Continue to show up. Continue
Keep
to show
going.
up.
I will, yeah, and the attitude that you do the showing up with, I think is
Hmm.
key because man, some days the last thing you want to do is go see a bunch of people at the pharmacy because you're tired and it's emotionally hard. Like pharmacy is a difficult role. We're dealing with
Hmm.
people in vulnerable states. So if you don't want to be there, you could easily outwardly show that,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
that would have a very detrimental impact on your patient. So did the discipline of showing up and being in the right headspace
Mhm.
to help our patients is essential in the role. And we will fail, but we
well,
must
yeah,
must
because
try. You know,
because
there will be failures, and
you're at the level of discipline and you're encountering people that are at the animal level, right?
yes, and you
Like
can
that.
get dragged down into the mud real fast.
You got to be careful of that. So after you do this long enough, and we were having a bit of a laugh before. I don't know, that might be an exaggeration. We were observing um, that if you do this long enough, you can make it to level 6, which is the level of experience. Now, the level of experience says that you've been through a few cycles of this, right? You know, I whenever I think of experience, I often will just couple that in my mind with how the seasons change,
Yes.
right? You know, if you get up and you think you're experienced because you've been through one summer or one springtime or whatever, that's probably there might be some self-deception happening
Yes.
there. However, after you go through this a few times, and the seasons and cycles in pharmacy are a little bit different, right? Like
Oh,
they're
they're definitely different, and we all will pick up. You know, Jess might be the expert in dealing with emotionally sad patient. Jaclyn might be the expert at dealing with the angry animalistic patient.
hmm
We all will pick up
hmm
our areas of expertise and experiences, and usually you have those people in your pharmacy. Oh, let's go grab so
yeah,
and so. You know, each level of experience will be different depending on where
yeah,
we've come from.
and
But we were giggling because we both just had birthdays. So happy birthday. And
yeah, and
saying
happy
that when
birthday
I
to you.
was 25, I thought I had a lot of life experience. And I am now just realizing I had none. And maybe, just maybe now, I have developed some experience in certain aspects of life. While I am still perfectly green in other areas of
Mhm.
work that I'm doing. So that is a challenge to accept as well.
You know, I think it's also worth calling out that with these different levels of awareness, you can be at different levels just in different areas of your life.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? You know, it's like at work, this may be, but you know, with your hobbies, like I am not a musician at all. I wish that I was. I really don't have a good sense of timing or anything like that, but I could see sitting down. I can imagine. I shouldn't say I could see. I can imagine sitting down at a piano and being able to play beautifully. But like that doesn't happen, and so I can get frustrated real easy and quit. Right? You know,
Yes.
I can get frustrated. I go to the animal level and I fly. Right? I'm gone, and it's such a thing. But when it comes to when it comes to experience. Um, it takes I think it really takes the posture of a student as you go through this because you know I think there's probably a certain chunk of us who thought we were experienced and then we go through COVID and we realize
Yes.
maybe I wasn't quite as experienced as I thought I was. You know, in stateside here we have a lot of people. There's, I would suggest the significant majority of patients, you know, have updated healthcare come the first of the year, and that usually creates some level of additional complexity as you enter the new year, and that's fine. You know, the first year you go through it, that can be really stressful. You know, but after you've gone through that a time or two, you just know this is what happens, right?
Every January,
Eh,
all the new deductibles restart. We have
Yes.
to
Yep.
explain to everybody that, yes,
There's
ma'am, your
and
deductible is reset. You'll have to pay. It's
and once you have that experience, you're better prepared to navigate it again. Um, so, but like that doesn't happen automatically.
no.
And as much as we wish that it would. And I know I spent a number of years thinking, oh my goodness, I can't wait to have experience. And then all of a sudden I look back and I'm like, wow, I have experience.
Look at that.
And
There
and
it
I
is, like
and
magic. Just like this podcast. Yes, we
yeah,
had what we have an experience of one episode. This is number two.
Yeah.
And so by the time we get to 20, we
Yep.
should be doing
We're,
well.
yeah, we'll look back at this and we'll say, you know, we really need to revisit the seven levels of awareness and like
Let's
do
do
it
it again.
justice. Yeah, do it justice. But you know, I share that this experience level is just something to be that we strive towards, right? And it is such a wonderful resource for us as we get it, and it shows up. I think it really shows up without a whole lot of fanfare. I think all of a sudden you realize, at least that's been my experience, you realize that, oh, now I have the experience that I
Yeah.
can do
It
this
just
with.
sort of hits you in the face. Oh, I know how to do this.
Yeah,
I can
it's
do this
and
without thinking even. It's a lot of just mindset, muscle memory.
yep,
I can
and
handle
but
this.
yeah, and so it's really a neat thing there. The seventh level, the highest level of awareness, is the level of mastery, and I don't know. Um, I don't know when I'll reach this. I don't know if I'll reach this.
It's a pretty tall peak.
But you know, I think that um, I think we can find people who, you know, maybe it's musicians or perhaps some athletes. I think you can find some examples of this, and I've come just to have such a respect um, for people who operate at a high level like this. Now, the level of mastery is the polar opposite of the level of animal. If the level of animal is fight or flight, um, the the level of mastery is how are you proactive? Instead of being completely reactive, how are you proactive in everything that you do? And what's interesting is that the master can take a situation, even if it's not an ideal situation, and can somehow make something wonderful happen. Um,
Yes.
this is the best example I can give. I had I shouldn't say I had, I still have. I have a cousin who was in the Navy, and his job is he was a cook, and you know, and he had to prepare meals for I don't know how many sailors multiple times a day. You know, you know,
Yes.
that's a little different than making dinner at home, right?
Just a little bit.
You know, literally.
That's a big, tall
Yeah,
order.
it's you know the expression I've heard is feed an army. Well, I guess this would be a slight variation, feed the Navy, right? But the idea is, and so there was a time he came and you know he stayed at my house for a few days, and he said, you know, I'd really like to take care of dinner, and my wife was like, yes, please, and she's like, well, what do you need? And he's like, oh, I'll just look around, I'll figure it out. Like he could take whatever we had, and
And turn it into
he turned it into a delightful meal,
that's a
right?
mastery I would like to have in my
Isn't it though? Isn't it though?
Oh, my kids would be thrilled.
You know, like that's where it is. When you get to the level of mastery, right? We all have these. You've probably all had these, or if we haven't, you will have a scenario where you have a patient in need, but the ideal solution you don't have, right? For whatever reason, it's Friday night, it's you can't whatever it turns out to be, and you have to figure out how do you sort of navigate around that. And you know, the master is able to succeed in spite of circumstances that others would say there's no way.
Yep.
And that's something I think we should all strive for. Again, I don't know that I'm a master at well, maybe I'm becoming
There's
a
probably
master at a couple of things,
the
but
things in
you
there.
know, but it's coming along. But to me, that's something to strive towards. It's like practicing martial arts, right, and moving up the different belts. You know, some that takes time. You don't go from a white belt to a black belt in the snap of your fingers. It takes time and repetition, and you have to go and you have to do new things, and you go through these different levels. So, you know, those are the seven levels. of awareness. And, I share those with people, one, because I think it is so helpful for us to be able to evaluate ourselves through that filter of the seven levels. I think it's so helpful to be able to evaluate um, the people we work with, right? I think it's so helpful for the patients that we serve. Um, but I'll also tell you this, and Jacqueline, I don't know that I've shared this. This is more of a more recent understanding. Um, I share this with people because it gives a common language that you're able to say, I'm coming into this. You and I sit down to record a podcast. Really, the question is, what level are you presenting at?
Yes. And
And
what did I say this morning? Well, the seven levels of mastery, not the strongest. I have enough experience though that I could probably give examples of each
Mhm,
if
mhm.
you say what the concept is. But I definitely have not mastered the seven
Right.
levels
Well,
of awareness by any means.
yeah,
Uh,
you and I come into this essentially at a level four, right?
yeah,
Individual expression.
yeah,
We're doing the best we know with what we have, and there will be some people that like it. There'll be some people that don't like it. There'll be some people that say this would be wonderful to listen to. I just like watching it. There will be people that have the other opinion, right? There's stuff all over the place. Um, but when it comes down to it, we have to. It becomes so helpful that I can say, I can recognize that somebody's at an animal level. I need to at least be sensitive to that. And I need to
yes,
handle that in a different way. And I handle that in a different way because because I am operating at a higher level of awareness,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Like that's been so helpful. And just if you, I mean, I would encourage you to share if you find value with this, listener, I would encourage you to share this with your team, um, and just to get other perspectives, right, and to get other people on board with a type of common language that you may find so helpful, because you may know that every time Mrs. McGillicuddy calls the pharmacy, she's calling from level one,
Yes,
right,
exactly. And you
and
may have patients that are calling from level four. They know, it's important to be realizing what people know about themselves
exactly.
and their medications. They may know individually what each thing does for them, but they also may not have a clue. And so it just depends on where they're coming from and where you're going to meet them.
So yeah, that's where it is, and I'm going to tell you. So we're putting this in our Leadership Across Borders podcast library. But one of the things that leaders do is they find people where they are and they leave them in a better place. Right. I talk with my hands on this. You start here, you end up here. Like that's what a leader does. That's what a good leader does. There now we can probably find examples of leaders that find you here and take you lower. That's not really the intent of what we're doing here. The intent is that we find you where you are, we leave you in a better place. So you may come into this at a level two. You may come into this at a level three, right? But the idea is that when you're done, ideally you say, you know what? I'm willing to go to level four, or I'm willing to stay at level five. And, I want to come back to the question that I posed a little while ago. It's, where do you pay rent? Where are you spending the majority of your time? And the fact of the matter is you can toggle between all of these. You can bounce all over the place. You can be having you can be having a great day going down the road, and somebody cuts you off on the freeway, and you
That's
could
a perfect example.
you can instantly go from level five to level one.
Yeah.
And I hope that doesn't apply to you, but I would hazard a guess you've probably seen that happen on the freeway,
Yes.
right? That you've seen something happen and you see somebody react in such a way. And hopefully a framework like this gives you some context that helps you process that, and then also helps you, lead and serve the people around you to the best of your ability. So I think with that, that covers most of the bases that we wanted to cover today, Jaclyn. What else do you have you have anything else you want to share with our listeners?
I think we covered the pyramid very well, but like I said, I didn't really understand a lot about concepts, so it's always exciting to talk to you, Jess, and just say, Like I'm going through these things in my mind, you're aware of the levels that you're acting at. But if you learn the concept that goes with it, you can improve your own leadership going forward. So, like we've always said, leadership can be learned. And I think that's important to
Yeah.
continue on learning. Every time we have a conversation, I learn a little bit more. And so you just know it's a lifelong process.
Yeah, that's such a good observation. So with that, let's put a bow on this episode of Leadership Across Borders. Jaclyn, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for the
Thank you, Jess.
conversation. To our listeners, I hope you found value with this. I would actually ask you this: if you found value in this episode, I'm going to ask you to share this with two people because
That's a
if you
great
share,
ask. Two people.
yeah, just two. Can you find two people? Now maybe it's a couple technicians, maybe it's your partner, pharmacist down the street, whatever it turns out to be. But if you share it with two people, and those two people share it with two people, that's really how we help get the word out with what we're doing. Jaclyn and I are here because we know that life will get better for you as your leadership skills improve, and that's what we're here to do is to give you some different thoughts to help move you along that pathway. So with that, we're going to sign off for today. Thank you, everybody.